word here in our summertime series. We are, I don't know, sometimes you think things settle down in the summer, but they don't really. It seems like the pace just keeps going on. So we have a lot of stuff going on here. We're going to get through. We're getting on our way down our book of Romans here, so we're going to continue with that quite quickly. Vacation Bible School starts setting up next Sunday after the Sunday service. And actually, they will be starting to set up all of this prep work that has to be done. And so anybody who has any extra time, you want to do some a little bit of work down here next week, actually starting Sunday, but next week you can get a hold of Sherry. And so we're trying to get stuff done ahead of time, and that will happen. So when a week from Monday, when the kids are here, everything will be built, and so that's great. It's called the Fun Factory this year. So it's about how God gives us gifts to actually invent and make things, and so it's going to be a really cool time for the kids. So if you've got any free time, you want to come and help with the build of VBS, don't forget to bring your kids and grandchildren as well. So that's just a fun-packed week. We do one of the best vacation Bible schools that I've ever seen here. And so everybody puts a lot of time and a lot of effort in, and it's just the mornings, it's just 9 to noon, and so it's fun to have our kids here. August 6th coming up, we're going to do something. I was feeling sorry for myself because I won't be going to Hawaii this year, so I thought, well, let's bring Hawaii to us. So we're going to have a special luau party. We're going to have a ukulele service here, both services on the 6th coming up, and then followed, we're going to have a little luau party on the patio here. So that'll be a Hawaiian day here, August 6th. So be available for that one if you're here. If you're in Hawaii, well, that's good too. New members coming up. We'll have new members classes probably late August and September. Getting ready for our new members that will be accepted in early October, and so that's coming up as well. Reformation year, of course. We're excited about that, and that will be in the fall. We'll have a great Reformation event here as we remember the gift that was given to us by our ancestors and our Lutheran and Protestant. Look.
Writings and speeches that are passed down from one generation to the next often take on a life of their own, surviving the test of time. For Lutherans, the Augsburg Confession is one such document. For over a decade, Luther's ideas and teaching had been disrupting the religious, political, and social fabric of Europe. In 1530, the Holy Roman Emperor looked to get a handle on things by calling the religious and politically powerful to a meeting at Augsburg. The people who found themselves in opposition to the doctrines of the papacy were asked to give a summary of their teaching. The question on the table for the Lutherans was, does their teaching fall in line with the Christian teaching handed down over the course of history? Luther's colleague, Philip Melanchthon, was assigned the task to make the case. He spent weeks crafting 28 articles that summarized the Lutheran teaching. But as is typical of Lutheran teaching, Melanchthon did not come up with this on his own. What he wrote reflected what Luther was teaching, and what Luther was teaching was rooted in the scriptures and the clear distinction between what God commands and what God promises. On June 25th, 1530, Melanchthon presented his work to be read to the emperor. The Augsburg Confession held to its name. It was a confession of faith as much as a document of doctrine and legal language. And while it's a document considered by many to be something like the Lutheran Constitution, we have to be careful not to lose its original intent, a confession of faith rooted in the language of the Scriptures. At its core, the Augsburg Confession is exactly that, a public confession made by people who had heard Christ's promise of forgiveness and about which they could not be silent. All of this was said and done so you can remember a mighty fortress is our God.
Now you say, well, Pastor Ken, what's so big about that? What's the big deal about that? Well, the big deal about that is you can take the Bible and spin it in 20 different ways. You can go to different types of Protestant churches and not even hear the word of grace just because you're in a Protestant church, because they have a cross on the building. That's why the Augsburg Confession was important. That's why Luther and the Reformation scholars made sure that what we were learning and teaching always pointing us to the cross. because it could be pointed in all kinds of different directions, which they are in specific churches. So our direction always, our compass, our true north, is always towards grace, and it's always towards the cross. And so when we think about that, that's part of what the Reformation did for us, to do that, because we are not a do-it-yourself. We're not a self-help church. Self-help doesn't work for us. Only God's help and God's grace. So if you think you're going to do it yourself, you need to wash your mouth out with soap. My mother had me do that once in my life. I had to wash my mouth out with soap. It wasn't over a theological issue. It was something else we don't need to discuss at this point. But anyway, wash your mouth out with soap if you think you can do it by yourself, because the Reformation is about what God does for us through His grace. So we're in this book of Romans. We've been going at this for about a year. It's the book that Luther thought was the best book in the Bible. It says if there's any book in the Bible you need to memorize, it's the book of Romans. And so we haven't memorized it yet, but we're getting to at least learn it and understand it. And to do it in 1 year is that take a year. We could take 10 years in the book of Romans. There's so much there. We're just skimming the surface of what's there. And so we're going to continue with that. We're going down pretty quick. So grab your skis or your snowboards or whatever works, because we're going down a lot faster than we went up. So we're going to get there today. We're going to get on some dry land, perhaps, and see what is in store for us. Actually, Allison read here one of the craziest, most phenomenal scriptures in the whole Bible. It's right in the book of Romans here. And it's something we skim over because we're kind of so used to reading the Bible, and we get into such a pattern where we don't stop and meditate on each word and phrase of what she's saying. But what Allison wrote and read here, what Paul wrote for us, what Luther discovered, is probably one of the most amazing things ever written in all the scriptures. And we'll take a look at that in a moment today. Paul writes to us. He says, don't you know that you have been baptized into Christ Jesus? You've been baptized into His death. And so that's what the cross reminds us of. We've been baptized into Christ's death. So, so Paul is dealing with a situation on one hand that we are all dealing with. We started talking about last week. We're going to finish up talking about. And Paul, his heart goes out to his people. All the people here, all the Jewish people who come every year to pray to the wall, called the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. Mostly, and there are some Christians here too, but it's mostly people who've been raised in the Jewish faith, but have not been raised to know Christ. They don't know the message of the cross, and they think that their salvation still will come through keeping the law. And Paul participates because he knows that's not God's plan. It was a plan to lead them to the cross so they would accept Christ in the cross. But they never got there. Paul says instead, the Lord God has turned over to the Gentiles. We've been grafted into this great, great story. Paul's heart goes out to save his own family, his people, Israel. The same way we may yearn for how do we get our own family saved, which is really the crux and the message inside of the book of Romans. It's not just look at us, whoopee, we're saved, we're on the mountaintop, we have this great relationship with Christ, that's with everybody else. That's not the point of the book. The point is now, since God has called us into this great salvation, how can we help our family members, help our friends, how can we help those who don't yet know Christ? That's really the book inside the book of Romans. Now, what can we do? What God will have. Well, let's take a look through scripture to see what we can do here. I took out Christian Life for $100. Thank you. Christian Life for $100. And the instrument of torture invented to slay, but instead became our creator. Is our point, it's our compass. If we want to boil the book of Romans down, the entire Bible down to one thing, it is the cross, because the cross is our salvation. The cross is not only our salvation, but it's the salvation of Israel, the Jews, and it's the salvation of all our friends, family members still the cross. It's not going to be clever conversations. It's not going to be a great, wonderful church experience someplace that just blows their mind, although those aren't bad to go to as well. It's always going to be the cross. It's always going to be the cross. What does Paul say? He says, for the word of the cross is foolishness. Only to those who are perishing. To those who are being saved, it is the power of God. And we see that in our lives. The cross is simply the power of God in our lives. But to others, it's like, what's the big deal? We don't even get it. We don't even know what you guys are talking about. For them, it is foolish. It's foolish for anybody to talk about the cross. What are you talking about? It doesn't make sense. But for us who are being saved, it is the power of God. We saw that Jesus, up to the last moment, up till he couldn't carry it anymore, was falling down in the street, carrying his own cross. Because that was his mission, to make us free. His death, changing our unrighteous life, our sinful life, our unbelieving life, for his righteous life. This great exchange came through the cross. That was the means where our salvation came from. Jesus became our sin. We became his righteousness through the cross. And that is, my friends, the only way that us, our friends, or Israel will get there. But we hope that there's something going on here. Because Luther writes this. Luther coined a phrase, crux sola nostra theologica, the cross alone is our theology. The cross alone is our theology. It all boils down to that. This is right smack in the book of Romans. Well, how does that help us? Well, let's see here. What is the cross to us? It's how we save our families. It's how Israel will be saved through the cross, even though they yet don't know it. But God is working on their behalf.
Why read the Bible? What purpose does it serve? After all, it's full of writings that are at least 2,000 years old. Over the years, people have answered this question in a variety of ways. One of the most common answers is that the Bible is good for giving you wisdom, advice, and moral guidance, telling you how to make progress and avoid pitfalls throughout the journey of life. Be aware, however, such a view of the Bible makes it just one more opinion among many found on the library shelves. Confusion about the purpose of the Bible is rooted in a misunderstanding of what Jesus came to do. Interestingly enough, the Bible itself answers this question. The Gospel of John says it quite simply, but these are written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. Luther summarized John's statement using language most everyone can understand. The Bible is the cradle that holds the Christ child. That means everything in the Bible, both Old Testament and New, is meant to deliver Christ and his gospel into your life. The Old Testament is saying, he's coming. He's coming. The New Testament says, here he is for you. Luther dealt with the same questions about the purpose of the Bible we see today, so he wrote a document titled, What to Look For and Expect in the Gospels. And what was Luther's answer? The Bible is really not a book of laws and commandments which requires deeds of us, but a book of divine promises in which God promises, offers, and gives us all his possessions and benefits in Christ. Simply put, the purpose of the Bible is to deliver Jesus himself, which includes his promise of forgiveness, salvation, and eternal life. All of this was said and done so you can remember a mighty fortress is our God.
So if we think about Israel and their temple, which was the way they communicated with God. Paul says for us, and even Peter writes here, we are like living stones. Jesus lets himself be built into his spiritual house. We are the temple of God, the temple of God. The Holy Spirit lives in us. Not just one building in Israel, a great cathedral, and come down Paul writes it this way, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, the word, so that you may prove what the will of God is, which is good and acceptable. Don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the word. How do we do that? One of the ways we do that, Paul tells us in Romans, is to bless those who persecute you. Are you kidding me? Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. For us to change our lifestyles where we don't react or retaliate, so people would know that we truly are Christians who are motivated by love and not by revenge. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. So Paul writes this, there was a time not so long ago that you were on the outs with God, but then the Jews slammed the door on him and things opened to you. Now they're on the outs, but with the door held wide open for you, they have a way back in. One way or another, God will make sure that we all experience what it means to be on the outside. He can personally open the door and welcome us back in. Actually, this is in accordance with what Allison had read earlier, which is one of the most phenomenal parts of Scripture here, which pulls it off back together, and even Paul gives himself hope, because the Word of God was revealed to Paul. Paul didn't know the answers. The Word of God came to Paul, so he himself found out how his people would be saved. And this is one of the amazing things here that we skim over, we don't get, we've got to plant our ski poles here, we've got to stop skiboarding or snowboarding down the mountain